What's up, everyone? Another episode of Tricky Guy Sports. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. Got some NBA to get into today. Victor Wembanyama. I'm going to learn to say his name right because, man, he's worth the price of admission.
That's a huge bitch.
Holy Lord, that is a huge, big old freak. San Antonio, you have something very special there. We'll get into that. ESPN Top 100. I got to let sell that NBA stuff. But we are through week 6 so far in the NFL, and I want to talk about something specifically to kick things off. You know, it's so hard to this early in. It's still only week 6, so I mean, we still got 11 to go here. But there is a metric that I think I've discovered to help us predict the future that might be actually better than record.
You're psychic.
Just stay with me.
You can predict the future.
I'm going to go with something called point differential. And most sports fans know this, but in case you don't know what I'm talking about, so when you look at record versus point differential in the NFL, I think I'm onto something here, and I think this is something maybe more people don't pay enough attention to, something I think we should bring more awareness to as far as if you're looking for some sleepers or where does your team truly stand. Instead of just your record, I want to look at point differential, and I think I'm onto something here. So stick with me. All right, so NFL, point differentials, basically the definition is the numerical difference between points scored and points allowed. So not just your win-loss record, but add up all your games and what are the points scored versus points allowed combined, your combined total score. And I'm noticing there is a pattern here. I'm good at pattern recognition, and I think this is actually a good metric to there's 2 or 3 teams I'm looking at that I think can still make a push, one of them still being able to win a Super Bowl possibly. So in case you think I'm full of it, let's just check it out. So this is from last year. I want to show you this to make this point. This is the NFL standings through week 6 as of 2022, last season. And I want to show you the point differential because I think this is something that's worth really analyzing and getting into. So, I mean, just right off the top, so at the end of last season through week 6, you had the Eagles at 6-0, and they were plus 56. So their combined total score, points scored versus points allowed, were plus 56. So they won all 6 of their games by a total of 56 points. They went on to get to the Super Bowl and then lose very closely. The Buffalo Bills right behind them were 5-1 and plus 95. They were just, I mean, at this point, Josh Allen was going to be the next 3 MVPs in a row and everything was firing. But I mean, just look at the overall thing here and show you, because they did end up losing the division. But even right below them, Minnesota Vikings were only plus 21. At 5-1. They had been squeaking out a lot of games, and that was something that continued throughout the season. Their record maybe didn't reflect how good or bad or their potential, or at least when they got everything the way they were supposed to, that maybe, they weren't as good as their record told you. And so right below, when you look at that the Minnesota Vikings at 5-1 were plus 21, and so very, very close games versus plus 95 for the Buffalo Bills. They lost in the wild card. The Giants were 5-1. They were only plus 14 at that point differential. They ended up losing in the division. The Kansas City Chiefs were 4-2, but they were plus 30. So they were 4-2. They were worse than the 5-1 teams, but their point differential at the time was plus 30. They go on to the Super Bowl. Another 4-2 team behind them, the Jets, was only plus 15. They didn't make the playoffs at all. So I really, the more I broke it down, and I'll you could look this all up online, but I'll just give you the highlights from last season through week 6 and why I truly think this is an important thing to look at. So at the top tier, like I said, the Eagles were 6-0 at plus 56. They went on to the Super Bowl. They looked like world beaters. They ended up being world beaters. The Buffalo Bills right behind them went to the divisional, but they were plus 95, and they still had a very good season. Their 5-1 record with their point differential showed me that they had everything that they needed. Like I said, the Vikings, though, with the same record, were a full, again, 95-21. So they were 74 points, if I'm doing the math right. Yes, I am. 74 point differential of a difference level between 2 5-1 teams. One team ended up losing in the wild card. The other one made it to the divisional. And even the Eagles at 6-0 were plus 56. So they're 25 points ahead of them at that point. Do you see what I'm saying? So even at the top tier, you saw a difference in identical records. The second tier, again, the Jets were 4-2, but they were plus 15 only. They didn't even make the damn playoffs. The Chargers were 4-2. They were actually negative 11. They had a negative 11 point differential, which completely did not reflect their 4-2 record at the time. They ended up going to the wild card and losing in the first round in the wild card. And as I mentioned, the Chiefs, The Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they had lost a couple games early, but they were plus 30, and of course they went on to win the entire thing. You go down even one more tier there, and I could try to resume and zoom out for the people watching here on YouTube or whatever, and try to get to these 3-3s here. I think this is also very interesting in the metrics and the stats. So the San Francisco 49ers at the time were only 3-3, 500. A lot of questions about what they're going to do, quarterback and, injuries and things going on, but they were plus 33. And they made it to the conference championship. And the only reason you can argue maybe they didn't go farther is because they didn't have their quarterback. He got hurt in the first quarter, no backups. They ended up having Brock Purdy go out there and play left-handed, didn't even throw the ball. But they ended up having a good season, even though they started by week 6. They're right in the middle at 3-3, didn't look that great. They were plus 33. Jacksonville at the time was only 2-4 through week 6. They had a plus 24. They ended up losing in the division. But it showed me that when they put it all together, that when they can win games, they can win convincingly, or that they have a higher ceiling. Do you see what I'm saying? And you can keep looking, and the metrics ended up showing through other ones as far as some other 3-3 teams that didn't make the playoffs. Green Bay was 3-3, but they had a -16. The LA Rams were -22. Miami Dolphins -24. So it seems like this really does seem to be a better telling, at least early on, than just your record. Because records can be reflective of your early schedule. They can be reflective of, you're able to eke out a couple close games, which can end up being a fumble here, a thing there. So point being, overall, it does seem like a record combined with that is something that is a little more telling than just the record by itself, and maybe an actually better way to tell just how good a team really is, or at least if their potential is good enough to make a playoff run. So you get it, got it, good. That all being said, now going to 2023, there's about 2 or 3 teams that I've noticed that follow this metric that maybe had a couple struggles early on, but they still somehow have one of the higher point differentials total for combined record and score in the entire NFL. And could that and should that play out again? So the first one, and I think this is very interesting, as somebody who's had a couple losses but has an insane, actually one of the highest out there of anyone even in the NFL, the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys actually have a plus 54. They are plus 54, which is bananas considering that the Dallas Cowboys lost just the week before, the week prior, before last night beating the Chargers, and we could show you some of the highlights there. But, the Dallas Cowboys are still a point differential of plus 54 at 4-2. To give you an idea, that's not just good. Excuse me, good? Did I say good? That is actually the 6th best in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys, although their 4-2 record isn't, at the top of the NFC, their plus 54 point differentials actually only behind Miami, Buffalo, Kansas City, Detroit, and San Francisco. That's it. Everybody else is what we consider Super Bowl contenders. They are the 6th best point differential with their 4-2 record in the entire league. The only teams that they're behind right now are, again, Miami, definitely Super Bowl, at least contenders. Buffalo, we definitely think still has a shot. Kansas City, without question, is the defending Super Bowl champions. Then you have the Detroit Lions, who have just sprung up on everyone, and the San Francisco 49ers. They actually have a better plus-minus right now, point differential, than the Philadelphia Eagles do. And a lot of people are even saying, with the way the schedule is going to start playing out, that possibly you will see the Dallas Cowboys have a better record around Thanksgiving time than even the Philadelphia Eagles. And so their victory last night was very, very, it was a mess. And I think this is a good way to discuss, too. I think this also shows with their plus 54 point differential that the talent is there, and maybe that's not the issue. I think the issues continue to be what most people consider talking about. It's, for one, last night, as you saw versus the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, besides the crazy Asian lady going nuts, and she was a lot of fun. But I think you saw that Dak Prescott finally used his legs a little bit. That was huge. 7 rushes, 41 yards, but just being the threat was huge, along with involving Cooks, who finally woke up and was able to be used in CeeDee Lamb. But also Micah Parsons in that defense continues to give you a belief that if the offense and Coach McCarthy and his sloppiness and their 11 penalties and their muff punt last night and all the nonsense, that they can clear some of this out, that with this defense getting the game, saving interception, and then Micah Parsons with the huge sack at the end of the game as well, that they could lead them to a real run here still in the NFC. It's all going to come down to where Dak can he be big game Dak? Can he use his legs? And can Coach McCarthy actually be the coach that he's supposed to be and what he's being paid to be? But at plus 54, you got to put them up there still, because the metrics are showing me that just like last year early on, yes, they've had a couple bad losses, but even with a really bad loss, a historical bad loss versus San Francisco, they're still plus 54. They're higher than the Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys are only behind in that metric Miami, Buffalo, Kansas City, Detroit, San Francisco. Literally the arguably 5 best teams in the entire NFL. So, with that level, that shows me they have talent, that shows me that they have the ability, and they still have the possibility to make a run. And so Dallas Cowboys could still possibly be your Super Bowl NFC contenders. I don't know if they win the whole thing, but I think, just getting there, and that's a whole nother question, it's just getting there enough for them to be happy. I don't know. That would be something we'd have to discuss as well. But, still, Cowboys could do it. Based on what I'm researching, Cowboys can still do it. We'll see. We shall see. The other team that is interesting to me that has a 3-3 record but actually has a plus 22 is another interesting situation, not just considering who they are, but how young they are in their division. The Houston Texans have a plus 22. That is the best point differential in the AFC South, and even better than the 4-2 Jacksonville Jaguars, who are plus 20. The Houston Texans are a very young team trying to figure things out, and one thing that we are figuring out is that they have the 2 most important things that you need going into the future. Texans fans, you should be very happy that you have the 2 most important things, in my opinion, and not just mine, other sports analyst opinion, when it comes to building your franchise. The most important things you need are obviously a good head coach, and even more important, a franchise-level quarterback. I think you have both now. The C.J. Stroud kid is really starting to wake people up. Stroud is nice. Maybe better than Young. Possibly Offensive Rookie of the Year. This kid is putting it together very, very quickly. Reads the field. Doesn't just, lock in on his first or second receiver. Doesn't panic. Is able to think and process information fast. And the most important part for me with C.J. Stroud is that he's making his teammates believe. And in the end, I'm going to repeat that is the most important thing a quarterback does. A quarterback has one job. More than anything else, more than throwing the ball, more than all the other stuff. You make the rest of your team believe. If I do my job, you can do yours. Basically, like at the defense, if we do our job defensively, our quarterback's going to get us there. If I get this tackle, if I make this block, if I get this sack, if I do whatever I got to do, special teams, if I stop that extra 5 or 10 yards of field position and do whatever we can, when we put the ball in our quarterback's hands, I know if I do what I need to do, he will do what he needs to do. CJ is starting to give that belief to the Houston Texans very quickly, and is starting to pick things up very, very quickly. And C.J. Stroud, by the way, is 4th in yards already in the NFL, 1,660 yards. That's better than Goff, Mahomes, Allen, or Hurts. He's 4th in yards per attempt for anyone with 160-plus pass attempts. He is now 7 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 4. He's starting to really piece this all together, along with their defense, who's only allowed 20 points once in their last 4 games. And Ryan's looking like definitely the head coach of the future. So again, Houston Texans combined with their new head coach and their new quarterback, along with the fact that their point differential, even though they only have a 3-3 record, is plus 22, and that makes them the number 1 in the AFC South in that metric, and actually above Jacksonville, tells me that there's still a very high possibility, combined with their defense, that they still have a at least chance to win their division and make a playoff run, which would be, just completely blowing out of the water every expectation Houston had this year, as it has been an abysmal and tough time to be a Texans fan for almost their whole franchise. Let's keep it a buck. It's been a minute since the Houston Texans have even been a threat. Well enough someone had said, I at least think they have a possibility to do something. I don't think, obviously, they're going to Super Bowl this year. They're going to beat, Kansas City or Buffalo. Let's calm down there, or Miami. But they still, with their young quarterback and young coach, and the fact that they are showing signs signs of a high potential level that when they put things together, they can do it and stop you defensively and everything else. Look out for both Texas teams. Dallas Cowboys still got to be a consideration at least to win the NFC this year, and could possibly, again, by the time we hit even Thanksgiving, be ahead of the Eagles and maybe be right up there with, I don't know, the Lions as the top team in the NFC. And the Texans on the other side may not win the whole thing, but they could still win their division. They could still win their division, plus 22, Cowboys plus 54. This is a metric in point differential that's showing me from last season that it's not the first time, or it's been a fluke. You saw it in the other ones. You saw teams with good records that had low point differential. Minnesota Vikings ended up being a bust. The Jets were 4-2, but they had only a plus 15. They ended up being a bust. The Chargers were 4-2. They were negative 11. They ended up being a bust. The Chiefs were 4-2, and they were plus 30. They went to the Super Bowl. The 49ers were only 3-3, but they were plus 33 at the time, week 6 last year. They ended up going to the conference championship. Jacksonville was only 2-4, and they had a plus 24. Houston is right there at plus 22. The Eagles last year when they were 6-0 were plus 56. Cowboys are 4-2, but they're plus 54. There is a interesting thing to look at there, and I don't think I'm just doing that just to be a nerd or try to point out something else. I do think that might be a more telling record than anything else as far as early on, what can we predict for who might still be successful and who might be in the playoffs. I don't know. I could be a genius. I could be an idiot.
I am the smartest man alive!
But keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. That's something I think should be paid attention to. Also, honorable mention to the Cleveland Browns, who are plus 18 with their 3-2 record, still figuring things out post Nick Chubb, post Deshaun. Well, still have Deshaun Watson, but he's been hurt the last couple of weeks. And the LA Rams are only 3-3, but they're plus 21. Let me shout them out quickly, as they've only had 2 games with 1 cup. Wink, wink. If you know what I'm getting at there. But Cooper Kupp's only been back for a couple games. And with Puka Nacua, and their double wide receiving core, Stafford still playing well, McVay still being a genius. Rams and Browns are honorable mention, but the two I want to keep an eye on are both from this state right here, baby. Good old state of Texas. So there you go. Moving on into something else I wanted to discuss, NBA. And let me just keep it in Texas. Let's just go ahead and start here. I had some other things I want to bring up as far as Texas teams go and NBA and all that goes. But the San Antonio Spurs, okay, I'll eat it. I'll just say, maybe the hype was so big on this kid. It was psychotic. It was truly crazy how big the hype was on Victor Wembanyama. He's worth it. Get crazy. Victor's that dude, man. Victor Wembanyama is that French dude. That frog can play. Oh my God, this guy is everything that we have been advertised. 7'4", 200-something pounds, already putting on weight, fluid, coordinated, a stud. I mean, it's just, get crazy, San Antonio Spurs fans. You got something. I'm very Texas heavy as I got my Texas hat. I didn't even mean to theme it that way. But I'm looking at this. Ooh, Victor's nice, man. Victor Wembanyama is insanely good. Preseason games have not just been impressive, they have been holy shit impressive. He's something else, man. Look at this kid. Look at this kid. Let me turn down the volume here, though. You could hear Harlan doing it. I mean, just to give you an idea, these games that I'm showing you were both actually on NBA TV and TNT. When's the last time the San Antonio Spurs preseason games were headlined on NBA TV and TNT? These games are, because that kid is psychotic. I'll go back to the psycho music. This kid is psychotic. This kid is something else. This kid is special. He's a threat to everyone. I mean, he's only played 2 preseason games so far, but Victor is absolutely killing it out there. The first game I was showing you there against the Heat, he had 23 points on 10 to 15 shooting. He was four rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks in 23 minutes of play versus the Miami Heat. Again, 23 points, 10 to 15, 4 and 3 in 23 minutes versus the Heat. He is now averaging over 2 preseason games, 21.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks in just 20 minutes per game. He's still only 3 of 10 from threes. He's still only a 30% three-point shooter, and that's going to come with, he's not a form shooter, he's a rhythm shooter, but he can knock it down, as you just saw right there, and you can see it again. He's a rhythm shooter. Let me rewind that for a second, because this is important to see. And let me explain something to you and why you should go crazy. 7'4", all the handles, all the strength. Look at him just abusing Chet Holmgren there. Victor Wembanyama is as good as advertised and maybe more. He might be worth all the hype in the world. But let me go ahead and turn down the music and let me just show you this here. Victor Wembanyama, I'm going to get his name because you're going to have to. This is the Adetokounmpo thing all over again. Victor Wembanyama is not just a stud down low with his frame and his coordination. And he's a good shooter, but he's a rhythm shooter. And I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again. There's rhythm shooters and there's form shooters. And the easiest comparison I can make and show you just as quick as you could see basically play at the same time are Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Steph Curry's a rhythm shooter. Klay Thompson's a form shooter. Form shooters are great because they're usually average, more consistent because they're always in their set. They always make sure their feet are planted, and it's very easy and natural for them to stay in their mechanics and stay in perfect form. Steph Curry arguably does not have perfect form. His right foot goes a little too far forward. His right hand, when he follows through, kind of trails off to the right. He has to compensate because his shoulder's a little too turned in to the side there. But in the end, Steph Curry is a rhythm shooter, and that's why, in my opinion, and not just my opinion, the metrics and everything and just common sense will show you, he's better off the dribble. He's better in more, freestyle situations, but he can get a little more hot and cold. Klay always has a hot level that is hard to that's why it's not the fairest comparison, but there is something to be said there, that Klay is a form shooter and Steph is a rhythm shooter. Victor Wembanyama falls in that second category. He's a rhythm-type shooter so far from threes. His mechanics are still not perfect by any metric or means necessary, but he does have streaky ability like a Gilbert Arenas or, Nick Van Exel, if you remember that guy back in the day. There are certain guys that have the ability when they are firing and going to get hot. Victor falls in that category. And it's more about when he's kind of warmed up and he's in his groove a little bit, as you'll see here on this play right here. So right there, that's just perfectly in-game, in-form rhythm. In-game, in-form rhythm shot. It's not truly a great form. As you look, that's terrible mechanics, but it's smooth, it's coordinated, and this kid overall, again, is just a freak, man. I mean, the fact he's averaging 20, it is preseason, I understand that. The Heat were depleted. The Thunder, did want to make a point. He's averaging 21 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals in 20 minutes per game in preseason, and is looking as unbelievable as everyone is, put him out to be. Victor's nice, man. This kid is on to something. Spurs fans have every right to go crazy here because, and they are. I mean, the hype is real, but it's worth it. It's worth the Spurs fans. You're right. This is worth the price of admission, and they're doing it. Like I said, the 2 preseason games so far for San Antonio Spurs were on NBA TV and TNT. That's the first time that's ever happened. They have 19 games already scheduled nationally this year versus just 1. So last year they had 1 game on national TV. This year, because of that guy, they now have 19, possibly more. And the only time they got a game last year, by the way, was when they played Golden State, the defending champions, in the Alamo Dome, and they set a new attendance record. That was the one time San Antonio was able to get on national television. This year, they've already been on national television twice in preseason. They're going to be on TV 19 more times, possibly more, and it's going to be high ratings every time. It's going to be must-watch every time as long as he is playing. The season tickets, by the way, when he got drafted, were up 4,000 tickets. I think within a couple days, they have the highest season tickets they've ever sold in Spurs history, a franchise that has won 5 NBA titles and has had loyalty and a great fan base for a long time, now has more season tickets than ever. They averaged 17,200 fans in the preseason game, and they only averaged 16,900 in the regular season last year. This kid is bringing a lot of hype and a lot of things with him, but he is worth every single penny of it. He is worth your watch. He is worth your eyeballs. This kid is real, man, and he's already putting on weight. But he's fluid. He's coordinated. It's hard to even maybe a Ralph Sampson who didn't have the handle or whatever at this size, at this age. Even Giannis was not this tall. It's hard to think of anyone that fits the build, pun intended, I guess, of this kid here, because he is truly something that you just haven't seen. And as far as the injury concerns and things, everything that we've heard so far and everything that's been said is that kid has a great work ethic, but he also he's not just bulking up. He's even said openly, I focus on core strength and things of that nature that are going to help me be able to last through all 82 games. And they just released this today, by the way, on his TikTok. Let me show you this. This is just him stretching. There are two things you should look at here as you're looking at this video, and I'll describe it for the ones that are listening, is that A, he's already put on some weight. I mean, you go look at old pictures and look at him in this video here stretching, and you can already see some muscle and some added weight in just a very limited amount of time. But, I mean, this kid is, again, 7'4", 225 pounds. And look at this kid stretch like he's a damn yogi. He put this on his TikTok earlier, and I made sure to record it and bring it. Look at this kid. You just haven't seen much like this. I mean, look at him go. He's bending like it's yoga, like it's nothing. I mean, that is 7'4". It is hard to describe 7'4" unless you've been around at least 7 foot. He makes other 7-footers look small. You know, they did the picture with him, David Robinson, all them. He made them look small. To be that flexible, and already look, he's putting on a little weight. He's putting on a little bit there. This kid is legit, man. Victor is the real deal. You guys nailed it. Everyone that said this kid is the best prospect we've seen since LeBron. It is still very early on, and I understand that. But he doesn't miss much in his package other than, again, he's going to be very streaky shooting. You're gonna find that as it's been already shown through his career. He's only like a 20-something% shooter in the French league. He's only shown 30% shooting from threes in the NBA so far, but when he makes it, it looks good. You're going to see that up and down there. But everywhere else, defensively, blocking shots, insane handle, improvisational ability, and again, just coordination. Coordination is something that is not at enough of I guess, the forefront of attention for a lot of you that watch NBA basketball. I don't think a lot of times it's really considered enough as far as what is important, especially in the bigger players. Athleticism, all that stuff is great. Your Giannis's are great. But in the end, that size and being able to know how to use it and have the fluidity versus being herky-jerky or just kind of goofy or uncoordinated in your movement. He is the total opposite of that. He has the hand-eye coordination of like a freaking Damian Lillard, Steph Curry level. He is extremely coordinated. And I think that's what makes him so freakish at his 7'4" size. You really have to see a 7'4". Just go find someone who's 6'10". You could probably find that if you walk around long enough. Find someone who's 6'10" and just see how big that is. And then put in your head, he is, 6 inches higher than that guy. Victor Wembanyama is huge.
That's a huge bitch.
He's humongous, and he's coordinated. It's something that it's rare. You don't see it very often. San Antonio Spurs, you're going to get a lot of attention. Victor's getting a lot of attention. He seems to like it, knows how to handle it. Family, by the way, all athletes. He's been born and raised in it. Obviously has the dexterity and flexibility that a lot of people at his height and size had never had before. He is truly a freak. This is a huge, freakish alien, like LeBron said. This kid is something. He's something.
Huge bitch.
Speaking of coordination, this is another thought I wanted to get into in the NBA as I'm watching preseason and a lot of pre-things and pre-rankings and all this other stuff. So I was looking at the ESPN Top 100. And, there were some early things I looked at that just made no sense to me. I don't want to get into why I think they're just completely wrong on some of their rankings because they ranked all the top NBA players from 100 to 1. And I think some of these they just whiffed. I'm sorry. Chris Paul at 76. There's not 75 players in the NBA better than Chris Paul, even at his advanced age. Golden State Warriors are going to have a very good season this year, even without enough height, because he is going to do so much for that second unit, Moody and Kuminga specifically, that it's going to be maybe a eye-opener as to just who Chris Paul is and just how good he is. But they had him at 76, and they had Jordan Poole at 73. That's just stupid. There's nothing you can tell me that says Golden State did not win that trade other than age. But Jordan Poole can put up his numbers in Washington and do what he wants. Chris Paul's better than Jordan Poole. So I disagree with that ranking just as one of the little things I noticed. James Harden at 43. And look, James Harden is definitely the epitome of someone who's showing me that he just doesn't have it upstairs sometimes.
I ain't got a good
the doubling down with the Morey thing and then going there and just kind of being a distraction, but pretending he's not a distraction. And, there's only so many times that you can, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on the other guy, whatever George Bush said, and then fool me like by the 5th time, there's no one left to fool. I mean, he's just going to have a hard time finding another home and even finding the home there in Philadelphia. But still, there's not 42 players in the league that are better than James Harden. Ja Morant at 35 was also bananas to me in the ESPN Top 100 ranking because there's not 34 players better than it's Ja Morant. Memphis and Sacramento are both going to be very good teams this year that aren't going to end up winning the entire thing. And it's going to be on the backs of De'Aaron Fox and Ja Morant. I mean, those guys are two of the best point guards, at least top 6, 7 in the league. So that you can't tell me that there are 34 people better than Ja Morant, especially the ones that they had ranked above him. Guys like Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Paolo Banchero. No GM in the entire world, if you were able to give him a lobotomy. Now, if you want to take the metric of he can be the biggest idiot we've seen since Meta World Peace, that's a whole nother discussion. But if you want to tell me there are 34 people, ESPN, better than Ja Morant, based on anything other than he's just got rocks in his brain sometimes, it's going to be serving a 25-game suspension. And, the names you brought up, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Brunson, and Mikal Bridges. There's no GM who would say, I give you 4 choices, and everyone that has first pick, you have the choices between Paolo, Brunson, Bridges, or Ja. No one is picking Ja 4th. No one is even picking Ja 2nd. Ja is going first above all of them without question. So those were some weird rankings there, and I thought that was at least worth mentioning. Also, honorable mention here, too, as I just mentioned De'Aaron Fox. ESPN also had De'Aaron Fox at 23, and a lot of people are going to see just how good this kid is this year, but they had Sabonis at 22. And same thing, if you gave all the Sacramento Kings players, coaches, training staff, general managers, fans, if you gave them all truth serum, you gave them sodium pentothal, whatever they called it, and said, tell me the truth, who is better and who is more important to your team, I don't think anyone's going to even miss a blink of an eye when they say it's clearly Fox. I mean, that's just the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Fox is beyond better than Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis is good, leads the league in rebounding, dirty, has some good fundamentals, son of a pros thing I'll continue to preach, but he is still not better than De'Aaron Fox. Slow down with that nonsense, ESPN. But I wanted to get into a quick point and something I think is at least worth mentioning as far as I was looking at the top 10. And it really pretty much went as it should. Anthony Davis at 10, LeBron James at 9. You had SGA at 8. You had KD at 7, you had Tatum at 6, then Steph at 5, Joel at 3, and then Freak at 1. It's 4 and 2, and something that has bothered me and something that has pissed me off for a very long time. I think this is a shining example of why you were completely full of crap on this one. At number 4 is Luka Doncic, and number 2 is Jokic the Joker. Now, you could make a debate that the Jokic being a 2-time MVP and finals MVP coming off a championship should be one, and Luka is arguably the best overall player statistically in the entire league. But this is a different point I want to make, and I'm going to ask you this question now. All of you people, and this is something that's a personal beef with me, something that's pissed me off, but let me ask you this, and you tell me with a straight face if you think that I'm full of it. All I have ever heard when, as an older person and as an old head, as I've discussed basketball ad nauseum with a lot of people and a lot of young kids who, they're arrogant and they don't really know a lot, but they still will say things confidently. Anyone that argues with anyone 25 and under, I think, can have the same level of frustration with. They'll just, passionately spit out some of the dumbest things you ever heard with this just blazing attitude of just, I know everything and I'll never die. But one of the things I used to hear, and it goes to like LeBron Jordan, it goes to like Magic and Larry Bird and some other guys, is that in today's league, they would not be able to handle the athleticism and the different level of genetics that are into, 2023 NBA. That the 2023 NBA athlete is too fast, is too strong, and how could people like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan exist? And meanwhile, as y'all say that to me with a straight face, guys like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, these guys, see these guys? These are the guys you're telling me. Really? This is why, nothing else, I just want to dead this argument. That is you're looking at the number 2, let me rewind that. This is the number 2 and number 4 players in the NBA, number 2 and 4 in the world. They are 2 of the top 5 in the entire world at playing basketball. Not exactly seeing athletic dominance here. I mean, if these two guys, answer me this, if these two guys are not just 2 of the best players in the NBA currently, they're top 5 and could be argued as 1 and 2 best on the planet statistically. Just to give you an idea, Luka Doncic just came off his career best season, averaging 32.4 points a game, 8.6 rebounds, and 8 assists. He averaged 32, 8, and 8 just last year. In 4 seasons, he already leads the Mavericks in triple-doubles in just 4 years. This guy, the Joker, Finals MVP, almost the 3rd straight MVP, was the first ever to lead the postseason, the entire postseason in all players in points, rebounds, and assists. He averaged a triple-double at 30, 13.5, 9.5, shot 46% from threes. He led the Nuggets in point, rebounds, and assists the last 6 seasons. And he's the first ever to get 30, 20, and 10 in a finals game, ever in the history of ever. He is arguably not just the best center now, but one of the best centers we've ever seen. But the 80s and 90s guys couldn't handle their athleticism. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan don't have the prowess of a Luka or a Jokic. So miss me with it. I just wanted to make that point because, if nothing else, just tell me you don't know basketball. Tell me I'm kind of dumb or at least uninformed and ignorant. I didn't really watch anything post-1990, and I don't really know what I'm talking about when I say things out loud, like, oh, Magic Johnson could never survive in today's world. They're too athletic. Meanwhile, Luka and Jokic are 2 of the top players on the freaking planet, and they're not exactly, going to win a 100-yard dash anytime soon. Miss me with that. These guys back in the 80s were just, you think, it's like you think you invented weightlifting yourself, or like it was just invented in 2010. And for every Giannis and every Victor, there are still guys like this who are dominating because they are coordinated, because they are skilled, and because they're able to put things together. I actually got to watch Luka up close. I got to watch this big, slow Serbian or wherever he is from, I forgot his country, and I apologize for that. But, this guy right here, I watched him play up close. It's not impressive. I think Slovenian. I'm sorry. Jokic is Serbian. He's Slovenian. I watched this Slovenian play up close, and it was fascinating. I was on the floor seeing just how slow he is versus everyone else. He is truly slower than everyone else on the court, but he has a pace that is his own. He has an ability to get to wherever he wants on the floor, and you can't speed him up or slow him down. He goes at his own pace, which is 60%, 70% top speed of the rest of the league at best. Constantly has issues with weight. But I'm telling you, I watched this guy get to wherever he wants, think the game out, and it's very, very coordinated. Same thing with this big old guy. They're very coordinated and they're very skilled. So putting that all together, Victor is not just as coordinated as them, he's also the new athlete. But I just had to make that point because I was watching this the other day, and I forgot who I was arguing with, and they're trying to say, well, back in the day, there just wasn't the athleticism that there is now. That's why you don't see guys unless they're truly like top 1% of the athletic prowess in the entire planet. They can't even survive in the NBA. Meanwhile, Jokic is 2 and Doncic is 4. Good call. I have some. I could show you this, but this is kind of grainy. I'll bring back a better one next time. But yeah, after watching those clips right there, you're telling me Isaiah Thomas couldn't do his thing in 2023? The crossover was never invented. Whoops, that was Sleepy Void back in like 1984. Oh, they didn't have the lift that the guys do. Oh, there you go, Dominique Wilkins. Yeah, he would really struggle guarding Luka like the rest of the league does. Well, he would struggle guarding Luka, but it wouldn't be because of lack of athleticism. These are the best athletes in the world right now. Luka's kicking your ass. Jokic is kicking your ass. These guys couldn't handle it? Really? I'm going to say that out loud with a straight face? Whatever. So there you go. So I just wanted to make those points today. I think Dallas Cowboys, not only because of 4-2 in schedule, but because of point differential, I do think could be Super Bowl contenders still. When you look at the metric of what that means overall, I think that Victor Wembanyama is not just worth the price of admission. He is not just worth all the hype and the unreal, never seen hype in San Antonio, that it's actually might be not even enough for just how much special this kid can be. And finally, that in, still ranking top players, I never want to hear again from a young person when I look at 2 of the top 5 are some of the least athletic people I've ever seen tell me with a straight face, well, Magic or Larry or Michael, they couldn't handle it. Just say you don't know what you're talking about, and we can call it a day. Cool? Cool. All right, let's call it a day and then get into some fun here. Just end it with some videos.
You seen it? You seen it?
Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
Go to my YouTube, go to Tricky Guy Sports, and look this part up. This is the bonus feature where we enjoy watching funny things that make us laugh, cringe, or make us want to avert our eyes or whatever. Share it with a friend. I don't care what you do as long as you watch, so let's do that right now. First ones are just going to be some ding-donks. Let's start off. I don't think I played this one last time. This guy was trying to get out of the garage, so there's the garage where you're running. And, you know, I think a lot of people, do you have that sensor on the automatic door scanner on the garage door? And if you walk through it, you can't, unfortunately, the door will keep opening. So if you don't have the clicker for the outside part of it, it makes it, anyways, most people know that struggle of if you don't have the outside clicker and you try to do the step over the thing. This guy had it to where the actual garage door button was way on the other side and had a brilliant way of trying to get out of it, and it just didn't go well. So here we go.
Do you think I just told you to hop for no reason? It'll work again. It'll work. It'll work.
I got it. I got it.
Watch your head.
I don't got it.
Oh, that is not ideal. I saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Cutting is going out.
I mean, they did. They're all laughing their asses off at him, and rightfully so. They tried to tell him.
You got it.
Yeah, he got it. Yeah, he got it. They tried to warn him. They were like, bro, I mean, you know, just, I don't know, leave the door open, man. Call it a day. But he clearly thought I was going to be able to sprint and jump the sensor and keep the garage closed so no one can steal the one painting and clothes hanger. I mean, just yikes. Absolutely yikes.
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
It'll work. Watch your head. Watch your head.
Oh, no, dude. Bet that hurt. Here's a guy on a roof, a roofer. Any roofers out there? Do you want to know how to be a true roofer? Don't be like this guy. I'll just leave it at that.
You're not a true roofer unless you know how to do this.
Yeah, I'm not a true roofer unless I know how to do what? Oh! Yeah, you did. You certainly did F up there.
You're not a true roofer unless you know how to do this.
That noise. Yeah, you fucked up, bro. You definitely did. Yikes.
You know how to do this.
Do what now? Do that? Do that? Do that? So that's fun. Oh, ladies. You know, I want to shout out to the ladies and just people in general. They say, you know, it's not just what you got, it's if you can flaunt it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to make this inspirational. You know, there's a lot of people out there. How can I be more attractive to whoever I want to seduce or whatever? Just ooze that confidence, man. Just ooze it. That's I'm telling you, I've seen it work. It works right here. Works with this guy. Just ooze that confidence like, yes, everyone in this room wants to bang me. Without question. I'm the sexiest bitch in this entire place. Do you need an example of what I'm talking about? Look at this half-toothed, sexy man here, ladies.
Body weight 237, 10-pound drop.
Yeah.
A little treat to the ladies. Shirtless.
Repping it out. Got some strength.
Some guys got it. Some guys don't.
That's all you need, man. Just need that, like, yeah. I mean, he believes every word. I truly believe he thinks he's the sexiest man in the room. He might steal my girl. I hope I don't find him. I hope I don't work out in the same gym as him. He's right next to my chick, just like, yeah. You want a real man? Take out these last 3 teeth and gum you down, baby, with my Dennis the Menace haircut and God knows what else. But he believes it, man. That's a sexy man right there.
Body weight 237, 10-pound drop. A little treat to the ladies. Shirtless. Some guys got it. Some guys don't.
I got to stay in the gym, man. I got to get on his level, man. Some guys got it, some guys don't. He's got it all, man. Just spare me some. Just spare me a little bit, bro. You don't got to keep it all, man. You ain't got to take all the ladies, some bitch. Moving on. What else do I have that's fun here? Oh, I want to get this is a whole section. I got a whole section here that I'm going to call today of crazy ass animal videos. These are becoming quickly my favorite. There's so many interactions with humans and animals that make me laugh, and I have some repeats here I'll bring you. But let me start off. Okay, where should I kick things off with? Okay, so let's start with, I showed you this a while ago. Remember, a lot of you probably don't follow like this. There was a video I showed you before where a rodeo clown had these like bouncy ball suit thing, and a bull launched him out of the damn arena. This was crazy. Goodbye. Look where he landed. I mean, that's... Oh. You mess with the bull, you get the horn. So I showed you that one a while ago. I got another one. I don't know how or why this happened, but somehow a guy was in some country, and I guess they let bulls roam the streets, just in the shop, looks like a phone shop, mind his own business, and then this happened. Yeah, I think I might get that, and then... Bam! Just trots his bull ass back out. What? Let me show you that again, and I have a million questions. Is that normal wherever they are? The bull's acting like it's normal. Like, that's just target practice for his ass. Why is there no like gate? Why is there is this Madrid and I'm being confused by the people I'm seeing on screen? Like, why is the bull so mad at him? Like, what happened? What? I don't know. I just think it's funny. Another one I wanted to show that I've shown you a other clip before is Angry Birds. So this was a recent one. A lot of people, very viral video. There was one I had shown that's one of my favorites of all time. Pebble, the angry bird, the angry cockatoo, was someone who had been kept in a cage for 20 years in 10 different homes and was horribly mistreated, and a guy finally saved him and was smashing the old cage he didn't like in front of him, and Pebble had clearly seen a lot of stuff. And that's kind of where the second video is going to go in a second here, but this is just to remind you of just these birds, you know, they don't just learn English, they repeat what they see and what they hear and, you know, what's constantly repeated. So Pebble was clearly in some houses that did not always get along, as in case you never saw this clip, this was the bird, they're smashing his cage for him, and he's clearly seen some people argue before that use some F-bombs. I mean, that's just clearly what happened.
That's what it needs. Another one. These cages shouldn't even be in production, right? So, we've made this cage. We've made this cage good now. Exactly. We can throw it exactly where it belongs, right, Pebble? Right in the garbage.
So that one was awesome and is still great. This bird, you know, Pebble has probably seen some fights. What this bird has seen is probably not safe for work. That's all I'm going to say. So we had an angry bird, and now we have this bird.
Suck. 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 Suck.
What are y'all doing around these birds, man?
Suck. 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 Suck.
What are you doing around what are you doing around these birds? I'm asking everyone out there that owns birds. Are you guys just fighting and screwing and doing God and sucking and doing God knows what in front of these birds? The hell are you doing? The hell are you doing? What else in the animal kingdom did I want to bring you? I did the bulls. I did the birds. I have a niece who rides horses, And this is interesting. She is actually quite good at 11 years old, won her first buckle. Congratulations to my niece out there. She's doing fantastic. And she needs to be careful because they are big, strong animals. And, hopefully they have some more safety protocol in places than whoever this child was learning to ride this horse, and better advice than what was given to him, because the advice did not work. Just stay with him.
Hold him, hold him, hold him, hold him, hold him, hold him. Stay with him.
Didn't stay with him, I guess. I don't know what stay with him means. I mean, he stayed with him. I mean, he did that. You said stay with him. He stayed connected to the saddle as his head slammed against the wall.
Hold him, hold him, hold him. Stay with him.
Stay with him what? Like, what does stay with him even mean?
Hold him, hold him, hold him, hold him. Stay with him.
I ain't got a good brain.
Hope he's all right. Definitely stayed with him. This last one. All right, I'm just gonna warn you. This is not safe for work. This is going to get a little gruesome. This is going to get a little horrific. We are getting close to Halloween. Last time, before I show you this video, as I'm on my animal kingdom, I've showed you funny birds, cussing. I've shown you bulls knocking people out. I've showed you birds telling you how they suck. I show, horses smacking a guy's head against the wall. This is not in that category. This is the last one, and I'm calling it a day. Putting on my pinky ring and bouncing, all right? This is tough to watch. If you are not okay, you are squeamish, don't watch this. And it's technically a sports one. Fishing is a sport, right? Shark fishing is a sport, right? Reaching for a shark in the water with your bare hand in front of your child is not a good idea, right? All right, I have given you plenty of warning. Here it is, lost my GD pinky video.
Don't bite our boat. Don't bite our boat.
Here it comes.
Don't bite our boat.
Damn it! Fuck! I lost my goddamn pinky.
He just lost his pinky. His pinky is gone. That is crazy. That is psycho. He lost. It's gone. Just like that. Pow. You put your hand in the water one day, you got a pinky. Next day, don't got a pinky. Next minute, next second, as your little kid is talking smack, aggravating the shark. How did anyone think this was, any of this was a good idea? Bringing a shark to you, getting and reeling a shark towards you, letting your kid lean over and talk smack to it, sticking your bare hand in the water as I don't know what you think you're doing, and then, you end up losing a pinky. Could have lost more.
Don't bite our boat. Don't bite our boat.
Damn it!
Ah!
Fuck! Goddamn pinky.
Ah! One last time and I can't show it anymore. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't bite our boat.
Don't bite the boat. Don't.
Damn it! Fuck! I lost my goddamn pinky. Fuck!
Yeah, I'd say that too. Gotta point it out, by the way. Gotta point it out.
It's all right, because it's all white.
Just saying, keep your wits about you, keep your pinky strong, and keep on trucking, man. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.